Hey everybody, what's going on? Bahroo here, back inside of Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and today I've got my Is It Worth It video for the Claptrap DLC. Now, as you may be aware, all of the DLCs for the pre-sequel, I have made this sort of video. Basically, is the Claptrap DLC worth 10 bucks, or is it even worth your time if you already have the season pass and things like that? So we're going to kind of go over the ins and outs of the Claptrap DLC. I'll be doing my best to avoid any kind of spoilers, as this DLC is actually pretty fun to play through, even for just its story. So let's just go ahead and get started on that point. The Claptrap DLC basically has you going inside the mind of Claptrap to retrieve a very powerful line or series of code that will make Jack very powerful in some way. So you're going to be going through a bunch of different areas, and you're going to be going through them through the perspective of Claptrap, or how Claptrap views these areas. So you're going to notice that it's going to be a lot of defragmented areas. You can kind of see right now, like, there's islands and floating stuff all around. It's not like it's not set in stone as to where everything is. And I really do like this sort of setting, going through memories and things like that. Even though we've been through this area multiple times in Borderlands 2, it really adds a really, I guess you could say, fresh point of view. And I didn't really feel like I was revisiting Overlook. I felt like I was going through a new area. That said, there are quite a few new areas inside of the Claptrap DLC. In fact, there are points of it where it feels like you're going through a computer, and you get to go through these data streams to get from area to area. So on that aspect, the mapping is definitely vastly improved over the pre-sequel's main game, because the main game very much suffers from bad combat flow and bad general flow. Yeah. You don't want to have any of that, but the flow inside of this DLC felt really nice. I was able to actually mob through the majority of a single area without having to do too much backtracking at all, really, and then, you know, do the typical save and quit. And most of these areas will actually lead up to sort of a boss that you can end up fighting, and will give you some sort of legendary. Most of the bosses inside of this DLC will all drop a legendary with a fairly decent drop rate. I've been able to get them within I would say about 20 tries or so, which is honestly not that bad compared to some of the bosses inside of Borderlands 2. Now, this DLC has a lot of new things in it, most notably the glitch weapons, as we can see here, really did spice up the gameplay. You can have all sorts of different effects: amp, loop, multi-shot, overload, for all of the different glitches, and it really mixes up how your guns are going to fire. Now, this is a completely new rarity inside of Borderlands, and I would honestly compare them to about purple quality in terms of damage, but the glitch takes them to a whole new level. With these glitches, you can have a Torque rocket launcher that multi-shots, 6 rockets for one shot. Or you can have a shotgun that becomes a butcher and just constantly sprays out bullets over and over and over again. Or maybe you want an SMG that shoots like a shotgun. Who knows? There's a lot of different possibilities with these glitch guns, and it really does liven things up. So overall, the new rarity and the new combat areas are really nice. The story is very well put together. However, it is a bit dark. I will say that. This DLC is more of a reality check of just how dark the Borderlands series really, or I guess not really series, but more of the story actually is. Things can get a little bit depressing for Claptrap as we go through his subconscious and really delve into what makes Claptrap. Now, for as far as length of the game, I went through this game on my live stream on the hardest difficulty of Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, and I was able to clear this in about 3 hours or so, and I didn't really do too many side quests. When you include the side quests, you're looking at about 6 to 7 hours, depending on how quickly you do them and how much you like to explore. I will say there's quite a few chests littered all around the map, and searching for those was actually a bit of a treat because they introduced new loot bugs, which are similar to loot midgets in that they can drop stuff after you kill them. So nice touch there. But this length of the DLC can honestly be increased by the fact that all of the bosses are in fact respawnable and you can farm them to your heart's content. In addition, you can do what is called a custom arena inside of a later part of the game. You will end up revisiting it and it will turn it into a sort of slaughter dome where you can add in different multipliers and different things, which I'm not going to show in the gameplay due to spoiler reasons, as it takes place in a certain area. So it definitely does. I'll probably end up making videos for those type of arenas, but if I had to have a small complaint, it would be that there are not enough mutators, or I would like to have multiple on at any given time. So the fact that it's even there is really nice, but it could be touched up just a little bit. Overall, nice addition to the DLC. And you can also refight the final boss of this campaign, which has a very high chance of dropping legendaries and almost a guaranteed drop of a glitch gun. Now this is where I have to give my negative for this DLC. So if I had to give any sort of negative to this DLC, it would be the final boss of this game. Now he's not bad. By all means, he is a very powerful, well-designed boss. I didn't really feel like any death against him was cheap, and his attacks aren't cheap either. Once you learn his attacks and learn how to deal with them, he's very straightforward. But there's a slight problem. The final boss of this DLC is almost raid boss quality for each of the different playthroughs. I had a very tough time actually downing this boss, and I do get a lot of comments about how people are having trouble with him. So that much. If you're not going into this DLC with an overpowered build, you can actually have a hard time beating the final boss, especially if you're going through this on the hardest difficulty, UVHM, as his health scales to a very high level. Without perfect gear, you're going to have a very difficult time taking him out. However, in the normal and TVHM modes, I was able to go through there. If you are a bit over-leveled, you won't have too much of an issue. As long as you fight him on level, you will be fine. But in the UVHM, he definitely can pose quite a challenge. And this can be a little bit of an issue for those who are new to the game or just wanting to get through the story. So if you're going through this for the story, I would highly recommend going through on normal or TVHM and leaving the UVHM for later playthroughs if you wish to have a harder experience, as he will definitely push you around a bit if you're not ready for him. But overall, I'd say this DLC is one of the best DLCs I've ever played for a Borderlands game. It's left me wanting more at the end of it, and honestly, I'd be willing to wait however many months it's taken them to push this DLC out. I mean, what, 6 months? If this is the quality of DLC that we would get, I would honestly wait 5 to 6 months in order to have this, because I would prefer quality over quantity when it comes to DLC. Yeah, you can throw a lot at us, or we can have high quality little bits, and I honestly like the high quality. If we could have 4 full campaign DLCs with this quality, then I think pre-sequel could sell itself on the DLC alone. Now, near the end of the review, let's go ahead and give this thing a little bit of a score here. I don't typically like giving a set score to a DLC or a game, but if I had to give it something, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I honestly rate this higher than the Tiny Tina DLC. The only thing that's really bringing this score down is the fact that the raid boss, or rather the story boss, is raid difficulty and can be a little bit of a pain to try and fight. Other than that, everything was on point and where it needed to be. The loot dropped at a relatively decent rate. The legendaries are very unique and wanted me to actually go search for them rather than just, pulling them in, since I knew they were all copies. The voice acting was good and the story was very enjoyable. It's something I would actually replay as other characters because I would want to hear their reactions to what is going on. And I may end up doing that just to hear, how Claptrap feels going inside of his own mind. Yeah, you can do that. You can just play as Claptrap and go inside yourself. I'm sure there's an innuendo joke in there somewhere. But anyway, that is going to be the end of my review. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for future content. If you haven't already, go pick up this DLC. It is worth every penny, and it's definitely worth the $10. I can't state how much I really like this DLC, and I really wish Gearbox would stop outsourcing their game. If this is the quality we can get from in-house, stop. I'll wait, man. I'll wait. Just stop outsourcing your shit, man. I want more of this and less Holodome. But anyway, that's going to be the end of it, everybody. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one, everybody. Later.